Coach Devante's origin story. See, when I was a young kid, ever since I can really remember, I've just loved sports. I've loved playing football on the street. I loved playing soccer. I played pretty much almost all the sports you could play up until I found skateboarding. Now, skateboarding is a huge part of my life. I have it tattooed up and down one of my arms, and it's just always going to be. Now, for me, little did I know that's kind of where everything kicked off, because as I was growing up, as I was skateboarding, I was the kid who was constantly getting hurt, right? Breaking bones left and right. Learned I had a vitamin D deficiency later on in life when I was like 16 after 8 years of skateboarding. And it was insane to me, where I just didn't know what was going on. And then, fast forward a little bit, my grandpa passed away. It's hard to talk about. So when I was younger, 16, very pivotal point in any young teenager's life, I had to watch my grandpa pass away in front of my eyes. So he fell off of a balcony and shattered his pelvis. He died from internal bleeding, but he didn't die on the spot. And I had a lot of resentment, and it drove me toward just a bad life that I didn't want for myself. I was running in the streets, getting in run-ins with police, to the point where I got beat up in the middle of the street and was like thrown in jail for a night. My mom had to come get me, and we had to fight a case, and it wasn't good. And my life wasn't going the way I wanted it to. So I went and joined the military. That was like the one thing I knew that I could take grasp of and do different, right? I had dropped out of school. I had no high school education. I need to figure it out. So luckily, I was able to lean on my support systems, like my mom, my grandma, my amazing girlfriend at the time, now wife, and it changed my life. And I went to the military. I went in as a combat engineer, and I absolutely loved it, right? It was a place for me to take all that pent-up energy, that anger that I didn't even know I was dealing with, which I'll get into in a little bit, and put it towards something. And I love being a soldier, and I was pretty damn good at it, until one day I was taken out the mat. I completely wrecked my back on this ruck march, to where I lost control of my bladder. I couldn't even pick up my kid, who was, I believe, 4 months old at the time. I couldn't do the basic house chores without being in excruciating pain. Now, the military did try to help me by way of their means, and we went through cortisone injections directly into my spine. I did physical therapy for months. We did acupuncture, all these things. To be told I was unfixable, to be told I was getting medically discharged, and I had no plan. I planned on doing 20 years in the service, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. So, what was I gonna do? Well, I knew for damn sure, growing up as a kid who did not have a father, I was not gonna do that to my kid and not be able to be the dad I wanna be. So, I need to fix myself. That's where this whole thing, really learning the education behind what I do today, started. And that's where I met my functional medicine doctor, started to learn about breathing and bracing and how much of an effect that has on your body, on your pain. And all of a sudden, 6 months later, I was at least back to cruising on my skateboard, playing with my kid, running around, helping my wife around the house, doing the things that I love to do, seeing that I was fixable, that my fitness, health, and wellness goals were attainable. And then I just needed to know more. And not only did I need to know more, I needed to figure out how I can help other people solve this problem as well. And that's really why I got started, and that's why you see me sitting here today. How has fitness impacted my life? Well, in so many different ways. For me, it's changed how I do everything. I was that young kid growing up, and we'll get more into this, but skateboarding, thrashing myself, eating terrible food, not knowing how to treat myself mentally, transferring all that stuff into my relationships, into then joining the military, beating myself up, and really along that whole time, it was who I was. And fitness, health, and wellness are those things that came into my life and are now how I operate and how I just do things on a day-to-day basis. So for me, to even think of how it impacted me is unfathomable, because I think of where I was to where I am today just because I got hooked on human movement, just because I got hooked on, how can I get out of this pain? right? And now my life is completely different. Now I'm helping other people achieve their fitness, health, and wellness goals. I would have had no clue I'd be where I am today if it wasn't for what happened to me. Honestly, that's the honest truth. Fitness really did impact me to the point of shifting the way I do everything. Well, I guess I kind of answered those a little bit. And for me, the biggest ones were my mental. So that was a big one. And learning that there's so much going on that we can have these foundational things set in our lives that can really keep us right. And I had no clue about that. And that's something that was an eye-opener for me. As I started learning, as I started growing as myself, as I started helping other clients, noticing that there was like these set foundations that we can have in our life that really help us keep things afloat even when the storms are brewing and it feels like that boat's about to flip over, right? I think another big setback for me would have been, I dealt with a drinking problem for a long time, and over that span of time, I was still training every single day. I'd drink at night, wake up early, train, go to college, I'd do all this stuff, and it was really hindering just me and my full potential in myself, right? And that's just more so a personal thing. So I got sober, and I've been living a completely different life. I feel like a completely different human. And I guess the lessons that I've learned from really just anything, the military injury, parenting, fitness, health, anything like that, would be to just hold true to who I am. And I think I lost that along the way after my grandpa passed away, and I was able to find it again, and I hold on true to that. So I feel like that's the biggest lesson. And sometimes it takes time to figure out, and sometimes you gotta work through a lot of crap to even find out who that exact person is. What did I learn? Well, I learned that we can't do this alone. No matter if you have to hire a coach, if you gotta lean on your support systems, if you just journal, something to feel like you're just not alone in this world, and that you're not the only one going through this. And I think that was one of my biggest things, was I had this really big, I never had like a victim mentality, like why is this happening to me type of thing. More so, I just get upset because I felt like I couldn't control or get a grip on the things that were happening to me. And I think that's the biggest lesson for me is, hey, things are always gonna happen, but have those support systems in place, have those foundations in place so that you can continue to kick ass in life no matter what's going on outside of those foundations and those support systems. I guess the only thing I want to say to everybody is if you related to any of this, if you feel me at all, if you like what I'm saying, do me a favor, throw a heart on this video, like this video, love this video, and just show your man some love. I'm excited to continue everything with you guys here, and yeah, I hope you liked Coach D's origin story.